Okay. Who wants to go first on answering that?
I will.
Okay.
I think like the biggest thing that has changed for me is like appreciating like the production process of watching a movie. Like, I kind of just used to judge movies on like if I liked like the plot line or not, or if there was good acting. But like the other day, I watched Suicide Squad and it was like a superhero movie, and I usually don't like those kind of movies, but like this class has helped me like appreciate how much work has like gone into like producing a movie of that size and like with that many special effects and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah. Thanks.
Who's next?
I'll go. I think for me, like the way I watch it has like really changed. Like I've never really looked at like how the camera kind of points at the characters, like whether it's from like like looking up at them or like down at them to kind of give the audience visuals of like the power that they have, and or like whether you're looking through points of view of other people, like in flashbacks and stuff. I never really looked into that as being like an overall way that they run it, and I think it makes a big difference way cameras like kind of how they're shooting it, and that was like nothing I never had knowledge on, so I guess like, and now it just sticks out like crazy when I watch like especially if we got to those like last films, I was just like, whoa, like it's amazing how much you realize like through the camera work that's going on in the film. So I would say that's definitely something that I watch movies now.
Sweet.
Nice. I'll go next. So yeah, for me, probably the biggest change is now, pretty much any time I watch a movie, I will end up going back and like seek out watching like a behind the scenes or making of documentary parts of it, or stuff like that, or like B-roll footage. It's because it's really interesting to me, like the production side of it. Like you're not, because I've always like kind of looked for certain stuff in movies and whatnot, because that's like how my family like showed me to do it, but like I never really paid attention to just like the like sort of mundane kind of, we're setting up lighting here, or like that sort of stuff. I find it really interesting.
Sweet.
I mean, like the same thing you guys said, but also like one thing that for me is the types of movies I watch. Because I normally like was in like this little box, like I always watch the same kind of movies, and now I'm like more comfortable of like watching things that I normally wouldn't, because I can notice things like the production and the lighting and the sound, things that I didn't normally look for. But now I'm definitely keen to looking at and seeing how different they are in different types of film.
Sweet.
Cool. All right. The second question is, if you had to eliminate one film from the course, which film would you eliminate and why? Oh man.
Who wants to go first on this?
Okay, I'll go first again. If I had to eliminate one movie, it would be the first one, like the Battleship Potemkin. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I hated that film just because, one, I don't know, I don't like silent films. I didn't really understand it, so I didn't think that there was I didn't really learn that much from it because I didn't understand what was going on in it. And since it was made a really long time ago, like the camera quality wasn't too good either. So if there was no dialogue and I couldn't really see what was happening, I didn't get a lot out of the movie. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely, that is, I'm in full agreement with that. I think maybe, I don't know if it's because, I feel like that would be a film almost to be put at the end, if anything, because, going into this course, you're learning more and more and more, so it's, hard to, be thrown such an intricate and, very difficult movie, yeah. I would say, but trying to, watch it through, some, process that, we don't quite have built up yet. But instead we finish off as watching a film that a lot of people really enjoy and probably can understand. But I think that film, if anything, it should have been at the end. But it was just too difficult for someone taking this course, in the beginning, anyways.
I think, okay, so yeah, initially when I first saw the question, I was like, okay, yeah, definitely Battleship Potemkin, especially because it's at the beginning, right? So you're oh, it's a film studies course, and this all these movies look great. So, and then you watch that, and it was a slog for me.
Yeah.
However, I realized, like, I guess you have to watch that at some point because it is like pretty important. I guess what I would choose instead, or what I would want to take out instead, is I was disappointed with the viewers, like that we ended up with such bland options for the viewers' choice. Because
Star Wars.
yeah, like either Star Wars or Captain America. I was like, okay, because like out of all of those, out of the huge list that like we as a class compiled, there were some crazy options in there that I really wish like we could, like certain people in the class could have been encouraged to watch some like really out there movies, you know, and or try something really different.
Asking that question, like having us fill out that survey at the beginning, was not like the best time to ask it, because like you're like, oh, these are movies I haven't seen, like they're new, like obviously this is what I like going off of like new ways to watch movies is like not just on the plot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
So I agree with you guys on the Battleship Potemkin, but for me, the Seventh Seal was just, I couldn't. Too difficult. I don't know if it was like the fact that I couldn't understand it, but it was just one of the most difficult films for me, and I still really don't understand it, and I feel like I bet if it was explained more, if I went more detail, it'd be better, but that one was just really difficult for me to even like through. So,
Yeah. That makes sense.
it's just hard.
Yeah. I happen to get into that one just as like a weird absurdist sort of thing. So, but other than that, I totally agree. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
But all right. So what's the next question?
one sec, like,
It says, if you could give one piece of advice to your past self that would help you in this course, what would you pick?
Okay, so I would probably, before watching the films, like read a synopsis on the movie, or like watch, like Aaron said, like behind the scenes or like making of, just so I could like appreciate it a little bit more. Because with some of the older films, like I didn't really even understand the plot, so I couldn't like appreciate like the implicit meanings behind like all of these things that the directors were doing. So in the future, or like if I could go back, I would probably read like just a synopsis on the plot so I could understand it before I went into it, and then it would be easier to like write the film blogs and like do other stuff like that.
I think for me, like something I like love to write and stuff. So I think now, like when I go back, like and look, you know, I was really unmotivated, and I think coming into this with an open mind and like not trying to judge movies by cover, like when I was like reading or like watching his lectures, I'm like, oh, this movie just sounds like awful, like, et cetera, like especially the ones I haven't heard. And I think like trying to just say I need to have an open mind, so like people ask me to go see a movie, I shouldn't just go off of reviews and stuff like that, and do like kind of more of a deeper like personal like look at it, and like really look at it through different points of views and stuff like that, and just kind of have an open mind going forward, like for all the films I watch.
Can you read that question one more time? I'm confused on the last part of it. Yeah, I forgot it.
So it says, if you could give one piece of advice to your past self that would help you in this course, what would you pick?
I think that if I could go back, so like my mom was the one who showed me a lot of movies, and she's like a horror fanatic. So that's like what a lot of the movies that I watched. What I wish I could go back and from an early age had been watching, like, like the kind of like classic movies, like Citizen Kane is always, it's like, one of the most important movies of all time, and this was the first time I'd seen it in this course, and so going back and watching these movies like Casablanca, Citizen Kane, and enjoying them for the most part, made me realize like, there's so many old classic movies that I missed out on when I was younger because they didn't, they don't just seem on their face interesting, And I think I've done myself a disservice by like just sticking to stuff that's like, gory horror movies my mom showed me, or action movies, or stuff like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like I wish I had gone back and and watched more of the classics.
Yeah, definitely. For me, one thing is just like giving myself more time, because I crammed like every Friday, watch the movie, and then I was like, crap, I gotta watch this again because I don't know what's happening. So definitely like giving myself a lot more time would have been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, yeah, like the same thing that you were saying, Aaron, how like being able to watch these, because a lot of them are movies like I watched my other film classes, and so it was easy to like build off of that. But then the others, I'm like, I've never seen this. It's gonna take me way too long to figure it out.
Like, where are Spark Notes?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So
That's it.
yeah, I'll go ahead and cut it now. Hold up.